says I have an announcement for you, and the announcement is regarding this channel. There will be some changes because when I started the channel 3 or 4 years ago, I did not really know like how YouTube worked, and like I was learning everything on the go. And one of the things I tried back at the time was the joiners, or like that you could join the community, pay some monthly fee, and then you would have some benefits for that. And how it worked for those of you who are not members or not joiners, the idea was that you could pay like $1 and ask your question, and I would record a 1-minute video answer. You could pay $5 and I would record 5 minutes answer. That was meant for people who had some like complicated questions or some questions and wanted them to have answered. And it's generally easier to explain everything on a video or like in face-to-face rather than like replying somewhere like emails or text or whatever. So that was the idea. Also, one of the benefits was supposed to be that I will be replying to like comments under videos of the joiners sooner. So that will be additional advantage that if you're a joiner and you will ask something in the comments, I will first answer your questions. But honestly, it was a bit I don't want to say lost in translation, because that's probably not the ideal saying, but it just didn't exactly work like that because people didn't know where to ask the questions. I've shot some videos where people ask me questions, but it wasn't really clear. Second thing is that the comments, since I've grown a bit, like I have 9,000 subscribers now, and thank you very much for that. But it also means, or at the same time, not but, at the same time, it means that there are plenty of comments. So I wasn't able to keep track of who is commenting and who is a joiner, who is not joiner. So like long story short, the benefits that were promised were not really that beneficial. And I decided to change that. So actually people who join and pay some membership every month, that they will actually get some value for the money they pay. And that's the change that I'm announcing today. So I will still be doing the Mondays and Thursdays live stream. The thing is that they will be the same as in the beginning. They will always be topical. So I will always have some topic. I will talk about that. And if you have any questions related to that topic, you can ask me during the live stream and I'll be happy to answer during the live stream. What changes is that I will still be doing live Q&As, which will not be topical. You can just join and ask me questions. But those live Q&As will be only for joiners, because then it will be a real benefit. If you just need some information, I will still be doing the videos on all the different topics, and I will be adding to the 500 I've already done. But then if you need to ask something specific about your case or some specific situation you're in, you can join and I'll be doing the live streams and answering it there. What I expect is that there will not be that many joiners, so there will be less amount of questions and I will be able to answer them more in details and more properly than I do during the live streams or the live Q&As. Because there is always like 20 questions waiting for me. So I try to like answer them as quickly as I can, of course, trying to deliver the value, but I need to go kind of fast. So this will, I expect, be different. Maybe there will be like 200 joiners and that will be even worse from this perspective than before. But I will be answering questions there until I answer them all, I believe. So then we'll see. It will work like this, that I will still do the topical every Monday and Thursday, and when I finish the topical, I will go just to the like joiners section, and I will start a live stream there right after I finished the general topical live stream, and then I will be answering the questions there. So far it's planned like this. If we find out that you're watching me or the joiners are watching me from all around the world, and maybe we need to adjust the time. I'm happy to do that. This will be something we'll need to like talk about and see what works for most. This is the idea. So I actually can provide better answers, and that it will actually be a benefit compared to people just joining the topical, and not just. I'm happy that you're joining and that the topical live streams are useful as well. But this, if you join the platform, you will actually get some extra value which non-joiners will not have. So this is the announcement. Hopefully it made sense. I just prepared some points, but the rest of the speech was not prepared. So hopefully it made sense. Let's see if there are any questions. No, Chamuki Bazuki, when is the next podcast released with Daria? We'll see, but I believe that the next one will be the spicy one. So watch out for that to our Move to Prague channel. If you're not subscribed there, go there and subscribe now, because we have podcasts there with Daria where we talk about different topics, and we have quite different opinions with Daria, quite different sometimes. And the next podcast will be very spicy about like racism in the Czech Republic, sex workers in the Czech Republic, and the cultural differences between Czechs and other nationalities. So we might actually get cancelled after that. We'll see. We'll see what the person who cuts that, I don't know how they're called, cutter? No, editor? I don't know. Someone who cuts the videos, how they're called, I don't know. So we will see how they will cut it. But there is a big potential will be cancelled after that. The chief, what happened with when you lose job as a work visa period to get new job prolonged to 6 months? Did that start to be in place? That applies in case of blue cards, but only after you've been here for 2 years and longer. Blue cards below 2 years are 3 months, I believe, and after, above 2 years, 6 months. Han Gartner, hello, zdraví. What is the income requirement for a couple to attain residence visa? Well, it depends. Depends because if you talk about visa, then there is usually no income requirement. There is usually just the amount of money you need to show in your bank account. If you talk about residence permit, there is an income requirement, but that is a calculation. So there is not like one number you need to meet, but generally it is your total rent. So rent plus utilities plus everything, plus say 5,000 crowns per person. So if your rent is 30,000 crowns including everything, and you're 2 people, that would be 30 plus 5 plus 5, so 40. But it also depends on the type of visa, because for some visas it might be different. And Czech Republic does not generally have any visa where you just have enough money in your account and you can live here. That does not really exist in the Czech Republic, like retirement visa or investment visa or anything like that. So kind of depends on the type of visa as well. Hi, my IPC status website shows rejected or closed, but the embassy called me to collect my visa. They didn't say if it was approved or rejected. Could the IPC result be wrong? Yeah, it could. It could. We've seen it before. If the embassy told you to come collect the visa, you should be fine. If they just told you to collect something, that might be a rejection letter. So either way, but they could be wrong for sure. Ziad Ahmed, my status said your app visa was granted 19 days ago, and it has been 51 days since I submitted my application. Study visa in Iraq. I haven't received any email yet. Please answer me. Well, keep waiting. Because the embassy is not who makes the decision, it's the Ministry of the Interior, and then the Ministry of the Interior must finish your case, approve it, then let the embassy know, and then the embassy lets you know. The only thing I can recommend is checking your spam, because sometimes emails from the embassy end up in your spam, especially if you're using Gmail or some similarly protective, like ProtonMail, that's the worst. Yeah, so keep checking that as well. But other than that, just wait. It can take some time. Chidhan Kumar Patel, hello Jan, how are you? For my wife, we applied long-term residence permit for family reunification 20th June. It's almost 2 months and status is still not found. First of all, for a family reunification residence permit, the ministry has up to 270 days to make the decision, which is 9 months. So 2 months does not mean anything. Second, that it's showing status not found. That can happen. 2 months is quite a long time already, but a month, 5 weeks is completely normal because they have to deliver the documents physically to the Czech Republic, to the ministry. Then they need to assign it to some decision maker. Then the decision maker needs to start working on that, and then it appears in the system. So that takes time. 2 months is kind of like borderline weird, I would say. So give it a couple more days, maybe 2 more weeks, and then maybe start taking some steps. The chief, what is a blue card? Blue card is a residence permit based on employment for highly qualified employees, which means you need to have at least bachelor's degree, work in a specialist field like IT or similar, and your salary must be at least 70,000 crowns a month at this point. The max, is this an open live stream or topic ones? This one, I don't know. Honestly, it's somewhere in between because the topic is that I will not be doing live streams. So I don't know. But if you have a question, you can ask for sure. Lick. L-I-K. Hey, I'm still waiting on a new podcast episode. It's really good. Guys, thank you very much. This is actually great to hear that a lot of you watch the podcast or listen to the podcast on Spotify. And we'll be definitely releasing the new one. Just, it's been taking a bit longer than we estimated, the cutting part. We usually go and like shoot couple, but then it takes long time to get it like actually cut and made it look somehow acceptable. But it should be done soon, and that will be the spicy one. So stay tuned. Patience, please. And thank you very much. I'm happy to hear that you're liking them. Ziad Ahmad, I checked it, but there was no. I want to know what this status implies, that I got the visa or not. And why change? Still in process after that. Ziad, where are you? What was the question? Granted. Yeah, because that's the status is something the person does. So when they start the processing, they put they start it, and it shows like in process. When they approve it, they have to change it to approved or denied, and that like they can make a mistake, so it can show this way, or they can like confuse you with someone else, or they might need to do something after that. So until you hear from the embassy, nothing's like for sure. And as we saw in the previous comment, even if you hear from the embassy, nothing's really sure either. That's just how it works in the Czech Republic. The chief, that's me. I'm working like an IT and 3+ years at this point. But it depends if you have an employee card or a blue card, because you can also apply for an employee card, meeting the conditions for the blue card. Just depends on what you want to do. So it depends on which one you have. Then you always stick to the rules of the one you have. Thank you. What kind of steps I can take if not come after 2 weeks? You can try to contact the Ministry of the Interior. Ideally not via email, or definitely not write to the embassy, because that's usually not helpful, because the embassy does not do anything about your case. But the Ministry of the Interior, ideally maybe give a power of attorney to someone so they can go and check at the Ministry of the Interior. Maybe they will find out some information. Maybe not, but they should at least see like if it was already delivered to the Ministry of the Interior, which is at least a good sign that it's arrived. Just someone needs to start working on that yet. Or maybe there was a mistake in the number. So they gave you some non-existent number, or you maybe made some typo, which is not very likely if you've done it a million times, but anything could happen. How is the work change process working for a blue card holder like me? Well, you first need to verify if you have a blue card, because that would be what you would have to apply for it. You don't get a blue card just if you meet the conditions. You need to choose if you want an employee card or a blue card, so it depends on what you have. But then if you have a blue card, you just need to report the change of employer within 3 days. So like when you finish employment, report it within 3 days to the ministry. If you start a new employment, report it to the ministry within 3 days, you're good. There is just one single form for that. And you generally have, I believe, 3 months if you haven't been here longer than 2 years to be unemployed. And then you have 6 months if you've been here more than 2 years. Well, definitely stay tuned, and I'm also subscribed, so I'll get a notification. Thanks to both of you for taking the time to make the podcast. Our pleasure. And when we hear these comments that you're actually watching it and you're expecting the next ones, that helps a lot to us, and we'll keep them coming then. The next, I was reading about single permit EU law, which will be implemented across EU, which lets non-EU people in other EU countries can enter Czech and apply for internally. So what's government opinion? Honestly, I have no information about that, because no one really cares about the immigration law now, because we're changing government. So I think that if that happens, that will happen maybe like next year, we'll see. The immigration law was supposed to change this year, because that changes every odd year, like 1, 3, 5, every odd year, yeah. So it changed 23, 21, 19. So we were expecting to change 25, but before the government managed to approve the new immigration law, where this change was not, as far as I'm aware, then the government is changing, so nothing happened. It's not been approved. Chase the dream, sir. Do you know about 13 Eagle SRO? Which type of company is that? I have no idea. There are probably around like 400,000 companies registered in the Czech Republic, so I have no idea what 13 Eagle SRO is. No idea. Fanda CZ, hi, good morning. I'm English. Nice to meet you, English. Thank you for joining. If you have any question, feel free to ask. Danny, hello. How do I know if my appeal is approved or still rejected? Because I checked the IPC, it says rejected. It's the same as before I filed appeal. Where can I check? You will hear from whoever you submitted the appeal to, either the embassy or the Ministry of the Interior, when they make the final decision. The status usually doesn't change with the appeal. US couple, who should I contact to check on the residence visa? Someone else told us that 100,000 crowns was not enough income for a couple. We also have 4 million in savings. Yeah, I believe you send us an email, so I will reply to that email. We can take it from there, maybe arrange a consultation and like discuss it. It might be better. But generally, Czech Republic does not offer any type of visa for people who are self-sufficient and they don't need to do anything in the Czech Republic. If you want to get a Czech visa, you need to have a reason to be here. So you need to have either local employment, you need to be locally self-employed, you need to study here, or you need to have a family here. Basically, no other reasons are accepted. There are some, of course, you could say there is the other, where you can study Czech or blah, blah, blah. But realistically speaking, you always need to have a reason to be here. The only thing that is not exactly like that is the digital nomad visa. But in that case, you need to be working in IT or marketing, and you need to be able to prove it. And there are some requirements for that. If you're not in IT or marketing, or if you're not working at all, there is not really an option for that. We don't have any retirement visa. We don't have any investment visa where you just buy a property or something, or you show high enough income. It used to work like that in the past. We've had quite a lot of retired Americans who had social security income that was high enough, but that stopped being approved by the ministry, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago, something like that. So it doesn't work anymore. Thank you so much. My pleasure. Chunky Bazuki Jan, which are the visa or stay types not to switch between, especially when trying to reach 5 years for PR? Generally, I would not recommend switching at all. Or doing it under supervision, because I've seen so many people that just did something because, I don't know, they read about it somewhere, or someone told them, or like their friend recommended, or whatever, and then they ended up in such a big trouble, and some of them even being deported or getting their residencies denied or cancelled or whatever. So generally speaking, before you make any changes, speak with someone, ideally, of course, with us, but if it's not us, that's fine as well, as long as it's someone who actually knows what they're talking about. So not your friend, not a Czech person, because being Czech does not mean that you are like, you know anything about immigration, you know? So hire a professional, even if you have to pay like a 1 hour consultation or something, do it before you do any like stupid thing, which will be very hard to like take back or like repair or however to call it. But yeah, you can always switch to an employee card and to a student residence permit. So those are pretty safe if you have anything else. To the business residence permit, the Živno residence permit, you can only switch after 5 years of being here, or in some specific cases, like from the job seeker residence permit. So there are some exceptions, but generally the business residence permit is the most complicated to switch to. So definitely don't recommend doing that unless you hire someone to help with that, someone like good, because that's the most complicated thing you can do. On the other hand, switching to an employee card or a student residence permit might be fine in most cases. The max, is the new government in Czech Republic pro-immigration, or would they make it more harder? I don't think they care much because they always only there is a party which is led by a Japanese guy anyway, and he's very anti migration, which is so like obvious because he had difficult childhood, I guess. So now he's making it like his main strategy. So he's anti, but the thing is that they only use this in their campaigns. No one really cares about immigration afterwards from the politicians. It's always the ministries themselves. So actually, it's been going pretty well the last couple of years because the ministries actually started working together. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs started working with the Ministry of the Interior. They started working with the Labor Office. So actually now someone is thinking about immigration and how it's connected to all the other fields in the Czech Republic. And that should not hopefully change with politicians. Although it might, because usually when there is a new minister, they also bring new people to the ministries with them. So they fire the directors and everything. So very hard to say. I don't think that the anti-immigrants party will win, or maybe not even get into the government, because they're such stupid people, honestly. So I don't think that will happen. So I think it will be fine, but we'll see. Let's hope for that. Sisuman, hi Honza, how long does it take to approve employee car extension in general? The same job and apartment has been 40 days. Is it normal, right? Officially, the ministry has 60 days. For those people who have free access to the labor market, it's usually faster. For normal employee cards, it can be even 6 months and later, because that's not a priority for the ministry. We spoke about that with them some time ago. It's not like very recent, but we spoke about it with them, and they themselves said, you can be here, you can keep working, you can travel with the bridging visa. So they definitely don't prioritize it. They prioritize new visas, even though it does not look like that anyway, because it takes long as well. But they prioritize other things than employee car extension. So officially 60 days. After that, you can take some steps. But generally, whenever you get approved, you get approved. I sometimes wish I had like more specific answers for you guys, but it's just not like that in Czech immigration. You know, the law does not really mean anything. If the ministry has 60 days, it does not mean that they will make the decision within 60 days. They will try. They'll maybe do their best, maybe not the best, but they will do something to meet the deadline. But if it takes twice that long, they don't care. Like what you will do, you know, anyway. You will sue the government that it took like 5 days longer or 5 months longer? Probably not. So they don't care. Maybe start suing them and they will change the approach. Let's see. Chaser Dream. We will submit the documents in New Delhi Embassy after 1 month. They sent email by saying replying. reapply within 14 days that we submit with additional documents. How many days take for giving a visa? I have no idea what you're referring to, man. I don't know what kind of visa you applied for, what exactly happened, why did you have to reapply, why they gave you 14 days, did you submit a new application or did you just submit additional documents to the same application, what kind of application that was? Very hard for me to answer if I don't know anything about the case. So you won't be doing lives anymore, or you'll be doing less lives, Jan? That was just a simplified thing I said. I will still be doing live streams every Monday, Thursday until the end of the world, as I always promise at the end. It will just be only topical live streams, and these kind of open Q&As, I will be still doing them, but they will be only for joiners. So for those who will be paying the monthly contribution, I'll be doing these kind of open Q&As for those. Otherwise, I will still be doing topical live streams every Monday, Thursday, and will be answering questions related to the topics. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, when I was explaining everything, the benefits I promised in the current setup, that you pay $1 a month and you get 1 minute video from me answering your question, or $5 a month and then you get 5 minutes video, it's not really beneficial anymore because it's kind of confusing, and the priority answers to their comments also is not really working because of the amount of comments I get. So I wanted to come up with something that will actually be beneficial for those who join. So I came up with this. So still topical live streams will be every Monday, Thursday, topical questions answered as well. But then if you have some different questions, I will be doing also live streams right after these topical ones, but only for joiners. That's the changes. Also for employee card, is it employment contract with Úřad práce vacancy number enough, or is there any additional work permit document that should be obtained? I've seen many tricky info. Depends on what you're applying for, but for an employee card, you generally need just the vacancy number and an employment contract showing the same information as the vacancy at Úřad práce. There are some employee cards where I might need the confirmation from Úřad práce, but those are very specific cases where usually don't end up, and if you end up there, usually people know, the people who hire you know what they're doing, because those are very specific cases. So generally just vacancy number and an employment contract. I have free access, graduate from here. Then I would expect the employee card to be approved sooner, or the extension to be approved sooner, maybe within the 60 days. But again, hard to estimate what the ministry will do. Jonas Ranjani, sir, I need to apply job in Czech Republic. Can you help me? Not really. We don't help with finding jobs, and especially from some countries like India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, all African continent. Basically zero chances to get here for employment. So it does not even make sense to look for a job, because you will hardly ever even get an appointment to apply. Still confused and perplexed regarding how certain countries got free labor market access, but according to EU law, every non-EU citizen should go through the visa sponsorship process, right? That's kind of getting back to what you mentioned before, like the EU permit or whatever, because there are some EU laws that apply generally to all EU countries, and you need to implement it into your local law. But there are still some things you can just introduce yourself, because for example, I believe Spain and Portugal, they have investment type of visa where you just buy a property above, used to be like 200,000 euros or something, and you get a residence permit based on that. Czech Republic does not have it. So there is still room for your own rules. And there is also the thing that there is usually some time limit until when you have to implement that. So if they say, okay, if the EU says we'll be using this rule, then the Czech Republic can just go and say, hey, we don't have enough time to do this. Please give us 10 years to implement this. And they will say, okay, you have 10 years. So then for the next 10 years, we still have a bit different rules than the rest of the EU. So hopefully this explains a bit. Ahmad Wahba, I'm currently in the Czech Republic since four months and I've already applied for a temporary residence permit as being spouse of Czech citizen, but so far I've not got any response from the foreign police. You will not get any response from the foreign police because that's not who approves the applications. It's the Ministry of the Interior. But yeah, it can take a very long time. You can be here, you can get a bridging visa, you can travel, you can work. No worries there. Chase a dream for long-term visa. This Cristiano Ronaldo again. Hello, how are you? How long I can stay outside if I want PR? Hello. That's a pretty complex question because there are different types of PR and there are different rules for that. But generally speaking, you can apply for a standard permanent residency after 5 years of being here, and outside of those 5 years, or out of those 5 years, you can be outside of the Czech Republic for maximum of 310 days in total if a single stay is no longer than 6 months. So you can be out 310 days, but it cannot be longer than 6 months at a time. I would simplify it like that. Abigail Manelak. Hi Jan, what does the term with free access to the labor market mean? Does this apply to my husband who has a family reunification residence permit? Free access to the labor market means that you don't need any permission to work in the Czech Republic. So basically, if you have free access to the labor market, you can go to a company, say, hey, can I start working today? They say, yes, we like you, and you can start working today. That's a simplified way to put it. Of course, you also need to have some long-term visa or residence permit to be able to live in the Czech Republic. So usually it's a combination. So you have some residence permit, and then the residence permit either has free access to the labor market or it does not. Family reunification generally, like the long-term residence permit with the family reunification purpose of stay, generally has the free access to the labor market, but it depends on when you got it, when you applied for it, what relative you are. But on the card, if you look at that, it's always written there. Okay, so if you look at the card, then there will be there will be written volný vstup na trh práce, ano or ne, which means free access to the labor market, yes or no. If there is ano, if there is yes, then he has free access to the labor market, so he can start working today if he wants to. If there is no, then unfortunately he cannot work. Hopefully this is good enough answer. My employer tell me still not get email from embassy for appointment. Why? Depends. If your employer is getting the appointment, that's actually good for you because it means most likely that your employer is part of some of the governmental programs. So you will get an appointment eventually. But the thing is that in most countries there are quotas. So let's say in India, I believe there is a quota of 720 people for one of the programs, and that's 720 people a year. If you're one of the 720, you will get an appointment within a year. But if you're like 720 first, you will get the appointment like after 1 year when they refresh the quota. So even with the like economic migration programs and your employer being part of it, it can still take months and months and months and months before they get an appointment. And then the last comment here is hi, but I will not read the name because that's now it might make some sense. Raj Graphic UI UX. Okay, so that's something like IT related. All right, makes sense. There are no more questions. So guys, thank you very much for being here today again. Again, from today on, there will be changes in the live streams, but I have explained everything 2 times during this live stream. So if you haven't heard that, go back to the beginning of the video where I explained everything in most details once it's uploaded. And I will see you again. How many days they take? Let me see, because I don't remember the question. How many days they take? Given visa. Long-term visa. Long-term visa can be anything from 60 to 120 days minimum after you've submitted all the documents. So if you were missing some documents, then the time doesn't count. So 60 to 120 depending on the type of visa you applied for. So guys, thank you very much again, and I will see you Monday, Thursday, until the end of the world. For those of you who are looking for these open live streams, you'll have the ability to join, become a joiner, and then we'll continue with these live streams. For those of you who will not join, I will still be doing topical live streams where you can ask me questions about the topic at hand, and I'll be happy to answer those as well. Otherwise, guys, have a lovely evening or morning or afternoon or whatever there is where you're watching, and I will see you again. Bye bye, guys.